Hey guys, welcome back. We have a new week of energy to get into. This is a big one. Newness actually may be a theme today on Monday, this whole week, the rest of this month, the rest of the summer. We have a new planetary energy that we are going to begin to experience today and actually over the course of the next 7 years. And we haven't had this energy since 1941. Uranus, the planet ruling sudden unexpected change, has concluded a 7-year transit through the sign of Taurus. As of today on Monday, enters 0.00 degrees of the sign of Gemini. And I'm telling you, we've got some fresh new energy coming in and things are likely to be changing significantly. I think a lot of people are going to be starting things right now, and this is a paradigm shifting moment over the course of this next 7 years because of the way that Uranus operates in the sign of Gemini. We're going to see some revolutions go on in terms of a lot of varying facets and areas of our lives, microcosm, macrocosm. We have a lot to discuss in our report for today, you guys, so let's just get into it. Not going to spend any more time on an intro. Lots of information to get into, but I will say the numerology is crazy of the day today as well. These are 7-year cycles and transits that we're talking about. 7 is definitely the number of the day. This shift is occurring on July 7th, 2025, which is 777 from a numerological perspective. So we got some divine alignment going on out there, you guys. We need to trust the process underway. Let's get into the report. Let's take a closer look at how all this is coming together for us as we do go through this energy shift right now, and what perhaps we can expect to see play out throughout the day, the week, or the rest of the month of July. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, July 7th, 2025. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day where we are narrating the shift of the ages. And if you guys stick with me until the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us today as well. I like to tap the energy field from more than one modality whenever I'm doing these energy overviews just to get an alternative energetic perspective on what's going on out there. So there could be some messages in there for you. We're going to do that at the end. We have a big time astrology report to get into today. We have reached a pretty monumental moment, I do think, as I mentioned in my intro, in terms of this like literal paradigm shift that has been emerging, like trying to like energetically work its way to the surface. I honestly think from like this week and moving forward, you know, who knows what will play out and correspond with this, like literally in our lives and in the world. But from an energetic perspective, we have reached a point of significant transition, significant change, and it's going to hit in a variety of areas of life. And there are some very, very clear themes here. And we got a lot of information to get into today. But before we do that, I also want to put a note, like draw some attention to the numerology, which is corresponding to this big Uranian shift that we've got going on today, because that's what this is. That's what to me is drawing us nearer to the experience of what one would consider to be a paradigm shift. We've got the planet Uranus, first of all, ruling the sign of Aquarius. You guys all know, if you've been following my channel for a while, you've heard this spiel many times before, and if you're new here, welcome. This won't be the last time that you're hearing this, but you know, of course, we are moving through this greater shift and transition of ages right now. That's what we're doing on this channel. We're looking at the astrology a couple of different ways, how it's hitting on the day-to-day, you know, our everyday mundane life, world, reality, microcosm, macrocosm type of situation, you know, how these aspects and transits are affecting us personally, but also we are keeping the nature of the transits coming in now. We're holding them in consideration of this greater shift of ages, this greater paradigm shift, our transition from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, which is also playing out, and how these subtle energetic shifts that are happening as a result of these specific transits coming in now that are altering our own individual energy bodies and personal frequencies and causing these changes in our personal lives are actually a part of this greater collective human evolution as we all go through this essentially like collective energy recalibration based on the specific transits that are coming into play right now and their relation to this greater overall energetic shift. Okay, you feel me? So there seems to be, just kind of like because of where we're at right now, and I would call it sort of a bit of an accelerated transition into the age of Aquarius. You know, these ages are 2,000 year periods of time, and there I do feel personally, in my opinion, there would have to be a couple of 100-year buffer between each of the ages. It's like, it's not like white and black. It's like we're fading from one into another. And the way I perceive it energetically is that it's sort of like, it's a spectrum, or it's sort of like scales, you know what I mean? And like the dominant energy from the old age, builds or wanes to a point where it then gives way to the incoming energy, which then gains the dominance and like pulls us forward. And I do feel like, if you kind of visualize it that way, we are at the point of the process where we have recently moved energetically from being more still dominant and weighted in the Piscean age energy. I think that we have like crossed that crucial threshold, specifically as of Pluto entering the sign of Aquarius, which is tipping the scale into the energetic dominance, being now in the Aquarian energy. And from this point going forward throughout the course of this next 2,000 years-ish, I think that will be that experience of the energy will be much more prominent and notable in its impacts than whatever it is that we've been coming out of and association with the age of Pisces. So I hope that makes sense. And I'm calling like this specific Uranian shift I don't know how exactly you would describe it. It's like ringing the bell, I guess you could say, in terms of us like truly starting to step in and experience that new Aquarian age energy that would be indicated to happen after we've crossed through that threshold. And this energy is now beginning to gain dominance because Uranus is the planet that rules the sign of Aquarius, and Uranus immediately enters the sign of Gemini, this other air sign that trines Aquarius, and also then immediately forms a trine to Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, which would indicate like major conscious. It's going to it's going to play out through, as I said earlier, like a tons of different areas of life. And I've got several specific themes where we are most likely to see this energy manifest and have its transformative impact in terms of this paradigm shift. But primarily in terms of our like conscious understanding of the nature of our reality, and also like the power of our mind, and then that like extrapolated through all of these different avenues where it's manifesting in ways that like alters our relationship to the reality, without sounding too just like crazy and esoteric and out of the box. But like that's where we're going. That's what this is. And the way that we are thinking about things, the way that we are perceiving reality, the way that we are like sourcing power and ideas, the way that we're connecting to each other, all of this is about to change radically and dramatically. And the fact that as Uranus enters the sign of Gemini, the first thing that happens is that trine to Pluto and Aquarius, it's like the force right now that is anchoring this Aquarian energy in association with this shift of ages right now is in a free flow of energy, like a totally unbridled, unrestricted feed with the Great Awakener, the planet that rules these sudden unexpected changes, specifically in the direction of that Aquarian energy, because this is Uranus who rules that. So it's like something comes online, you know what I mean? It's like the source, it's like the Pluto and Aquarius being plugged into Uranus and Gemini and just everything lighting up. But in those like Aquarian and like Gemini blended realms, which are going to be some of the things that have that do tend to be, rather, I should say, some of the things that have the most transformative impact on our like cultures and societies, because they do have to do with technology, travel, innovation, invention, communication, connectedness. And as we move through the report, you will see and understand exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm also going to talk about the last time, I can't remember if I said this or not, that Uranus entered the sign of Gemini and the themes that it brought then. I do expect to see definitely like an evolution of those themes come into play right now. But it's also very interesting because there are fascinating polarizations between the energy of this Uranus Gemini transit and actually the 1941 Uranus Gemini transit. And that's going to be something we're going to look at as well. I'm going to put the charts up actually as we move through the report, because it's really, I find it to be very interesting and fascinating, the way that these two charts sort of mirror and reflect each other, but yet seem to be indicating like almost completely different expressions of the way that the energy was oriented then, as opposed to what we're likely to get in terms of it now, even though I do still feel like this energy is building on what happened then. So I guess like all of that to start us off. But you guys, like 777, like literally for the 7 year, the planet that runs in 7 year cycles, like Uranus could have picked any time, you know, well, not any time, because this is obviously any time essentially like last month or this month. Like it didn't have to be today is what I'm trying to say. Like it did not have to happen. Like it could have been the 8th, it could have been the 9th, could have been the 10th, could have been the 6th. It didn't have to be July 7th, 2025, 777, that this planet that runs in 7 year cycles would be both concluding and beginning a 7 year transit. So 7's the number of the day, you guys. Spiritual awakening, divine guidance, divine alignment, true purpose, God, Great Spirit, universe's lucky number combination. There is definitely, I do think that is being communicated here that is of reassurance. I think that, again, Uranus also, like, this is the silver lining planet, okay? Uranus brings blessings in disguise. This is not always energy that on its surface appears as a good thing, but it is always energy that in retrospect we wouldn't change because of the way that it either set things up for us or freed us from something somehow, or just altered circumstances in such a way that the things that we know were truly meant to happen were able to happen. Uranus and Aquarius is an energy to me that has a lot to do with facilitating a higher future outcome or a destiny to come to pass. And when we think about what Uranus does, making the changes for us we haven't been able to make for ourselves, you know, this galactic fixer, blessings in disguise energy, it often, and the Great Awakener as well, it oftentimes is the sudden jolt that we need, that we couldn't have done for ourselves, and that may be uncomfortable or scary while we're going through it, but it ultimately is always for the best. And again, like, helps us to get to some place we need to be, but we couldn't have gotten to otherwise. So this type of experience could be something that a lot of people are dealing with right now. I do not imagine this to be the most grounded, stable energy. I will tell you guys also, and I have this written further in our report, so I'm going to say it again, but there's no, like, Earth energy right now is essentially the most unavailable thing. Like, we have Mars in the sign of Virgo, and we have the South Node in the sign of Virgo. That is the only Earth sign energy we have present. The South Node is about, like, what we're letting go, what's being released, what's like being relinquished, and like losses, and what's fading away. And Mars kind of like energizes that. So even though we do have Mars in the sign of Virgo with the South Node there, this is still being on very shaky ground. Like, there's essentially like nothing tethering us to practical reality with this. And on the flip side of that, I do think that it's going to be very important to consciously ground ourselves, consciously engage in schedules and routines, and make sure that we're paying attention to like the everyday, more mundane tasks that need to be done in order to take care of ourselves and make sure that we're like physically healthy throughout this period of time, because it could be so electrifying and overstimulating and change oriented and fast paced that we are honestly just forgetting to do the little things to take care of ourselves. And that is when often also the more like accident prone nature of the Uranian situation, Uranian energy, can come in as well. So, you know, make sure you're slowing yourself down, make sure that you are paying attention again, try if you can to, you know, again, like actively, consciously do things to ground yourself over this period of time. But ultimately, as we begin to move through this energy, what the imprint of, you know, the astrology, the degree placements, the numerology, all of it in combination really is saying to me is that, you know, we need to have faith, you guys. We need to trust the processes underway, even if we do not understand them at the moment. There are twists and turns and wild cards and shocks and surprises coming that we probably can't imagine at this point in time. And again, like, this is going to change the state of a lot of things now and moving forward. Now, Uranus had been in the sign of Taurus since 2018, entering the sign of Gemini, where he has not been since 1941. And as we get more towards the end of the report, we're actually going to take a look back and see what came about as of Uranus's entrance into the sign of Gemini in 1941, as I mentioned earlier. But I do think that there are three sort of overarching themes that we are likely to see emerge as a result of this transit, and then like kind of branches going off all of those. But I do think the primary impacts are going to be related to energy, travel, and technology, more specifically digital and communication based technology, air travel, space travel, and also new forms of energy, power, and also regenerative medicine, transactional currencies, transactional digital currencies, cryptocurrencies. I do think we are going to see the rise of now and moving forward as well. During the 7-year period of time, we will awaken to long withheld and hidden information. And what is uncovered in this regard is going to transform the mind of the collective. This transit is going to bring transparency and decentralization. I think that we can be pretty sure of that. Of course, Uranus is a planet ruling everything unexpected. The general rule of thumb when we've got strong Uranian energy is expect the unexpected. With Uranus changing signs on Monday this week, that is also something that we should very much apply to every day and everything that's going on right now. There is this very unpredictable, expect the unexpected vibe going on out there for sure. So definitely you may want to be mindful of that as well. But what I do think we can expect and be relatively sure of as this energy comes through is transparency and decentralization of information and knowledge, and an emphasis on the power of the mind. Somehow, some way, for some reason. Knowledge is going to be both power and currency during this period of time. And with Uranus in the sign of Gemini, trining Pluto and Aquarius, like, I don't know how we don't begin to see this. So I think that somehow we will. Unexpected, powerful announcements, deals, plans, negotiations, debates, partnerships, transactions, inventions, technology. This could all be a facet of what we begin to see emerge today, this week, over the rest of this month, and definitely over, you know, the summer and the rest of this year. Things may also be happening very suddenly, very out of nowhere. I've been talking about this concept of kind of like cascading changes going on right now, like sort of just like one thing after another, after another, after another. And I do think that the unfolding event stream itself is picking up speed right now generally. Things are going to be happening quickly, I think. Uranus is a very, very fast-paced, high-speed energy. And again, the need to stay grounded consciously is indicated to me with this. This is also probably going to feel a lot lighter than what we've been moving through. Uranus in the sign of Taurus, that is hard work, okay? That is breaking up, like, the thickest of the stagnancy. We're talking about fixed earth when we're talking about Taurus. Like, the fixed signs are all stubborn and determined, but I honestly think, like, in a battle, even up against a Scorpio, that fixed earth Taurus, like, that is the most determined, willful, the bull-headed, you know what I mean? Like, unbudgeable, unmovable, just held in place type of energy. And Uranus shakes things up. That's what Uranus does. It forces movement. It breaks up stagnation. So that's been a rough transit, okay? When that type of work has to go on to loosen things that have been so set in place for so long, yes, it's ultimately going to be a very valuable outcome. Whatever that transit brought has to be of tremendous value somehow. And I do think we're going to become aware of that now that we've got this, like, the mind information perspective, like really thinking about and considering things, seeing things a different way type of energy going on, especially with the trine of Pluto right there, which is uncovering what's been hidden and bringing this tremendous awakening, right, in terms of the way that we're seeing and perceiving things. But that transit, like, that's a rough time. And the past 7 years, honestly, may have been quite brutal as God, Great Spirit, Universe, you know, however you connect with the cosmic consciousness, higher power, has been, you know, forcing that type of change for one reason or another in our lives. Because, you know, remember, Uranus is the great awakener. This makes the changes for us we haven't been able to make for ourselves. And the sign of Taurus, I've been saying for all these years now that Uranus has been transiting through Taurus, it's about awakening us to some potential, helping us to gain an awareness of what perhaps we've been detached from, or just like unaware of or neglecting within ourselves, that for whatever reason our higher selves or God, Great Spirit, you know, whatever it is for you, is calling us to step into right now. Like, we're no longer being allowed to sleep on our potential. Uranus is a sign of the builder. This is like, we've got to figure out what raw materials we're working with, and we got to start to do something with them. That was, to me, the primary role of Uranus in the sign of Taurus. But it was also, like, in that same regard, having to do with this awakening to true, authentic value and removing anything that had been blocking growth, blocking authentic value, and keeping us in that state of sleeping on ourselves somehow from being able to interfere with or limit our growth and expansion anymore. Because again, like, we're moving into the age of Aquarius. Ultimately, where humanity's going is a much more self-actualized state. These new Aquarian energies that are coming in right now are sparking that pull towards self-actualization within all of us. That is why a lot of people are going to be spontaneously making these changes and having these awakenings and are making these discoveries of perhaps that latent potential within them that they can no longer avoid and are like being called to step into right now. It all fits together. It's a part of us as individuals anchoring this new energy of the new age into this world now as we actively build this new reality and this new paradigm as a part of and through that process. You get it? I know that you do. And so that, I say that all to just emphasize that that was probably like a difficult period of time. That is rough work, okay? Dislodging those diamonds from deep within the depths of the earth. But now, Uranus in the sign of Gemini, like, this is a totally different experience. This is a way, I think, lighter vibe, lighter energy. I think it's probably much more excitable, much more enthusiastic. Gemini already embraces change, okay? Gemini is a mutable sign. This mutable energy is adaptable. It is versatile. It is variable. Like, it already does that. And of course, Gemini, this is the sign most associated with change. It's all about going back and forth and here and there and, you know, up and down and all around. And it is a very fast-paced energy as well. Gemini is an air sign. Uranus is a ruler of Aquarius, another air sign that trines Gemini. Like, these energies work well together. So whereas it may have been very, very difficult in, again, like this like monumental effort over the past 7 years, and, you know, it's a sign of Venus as well. It's like a heartache and burden, and it's just like almost like getting like roots ripped out or something, you know, like there has to be, it's just a much more, you know, obviously intense experience of this energy. This, I don't think it's going to hit the same way. I think it's going to feel, you know, as I just said, much lighter. You might palpably be feeling that this week, like feeling like you've completed something, or like you're no longer stuck somehow, or like something's not weighing on you, or you're not like worried about something particularly like to the same extent. This could also be hard to believe. Like there could be something unbelievable or of course like uncertain or unstable. Like it just things may feel kind of unreal, honestly. And that, I say that particularly because as Uranus enters the sign of Gemini, not only is Uranus making that trine to Aquarius and Pluto there, but also immediately begins to now form a sextile to Saturn and Neptune retrograde in the beginning of Aries. Gemini and Aries skip a sign. They sextile each other. So there's a flow and a meshing of the Uranian, Neptunian, Saturnian energy as well with Neptune retrograde. Plus there's the Pluto feed coming through very, very strong right there. And Neptune, well, on one hand, Neptune retrograde with Uranus can be another very awakening influence to perhaps the places that we have been overly boxed in or overly limited, or, you know, this could also represent awakening to or overcoming the boundaries and the barriers of our essentially like beliefs even in the past that had restricted us in some way or blocked our growth or blocked our potential or prevented us from seeing like certain opportunities and stuff like that. But it also could just be adding to the like magical, mystical, ethereal nature of this day. With the 777 coming through here, the 7-year transit activating like this, hitting that 0 gem, forming the trine to Pluto, the sextile of Neptune and Saturn, this is and could be the synchronicities here could be like turned up to a level that makes us like really question our perception of reality. Like there could be spiritual experiences going on. There could be like coincidences and things that are just like absolutely beyond anything that could be possible if there wasn't some type of divine intervention or divine orchestration going on. Like I think that's what I'm trying to say here. There could be like the way that this lineup is coming together could make it undeniable that there is an influence of a higher power going on, even within people that aren't like wired that way, you know what I mean, that like don't have spiritual inclinations, that like aren't often perceiving coincidences as anything but coincidences, like don't have a concept of synchronicities. Like people could really be feeling like the universe is speaking to them or setting things up. Like that also in and of itself could be quite mind-blowing, and that could also be one of the things that is more of a common experience right now that is contributing to this greater collective recalibration in a way that considers and contextualizes like the role of universe and a higher power in a different way somehow. Like, and I've been saying this and I'm going to continue to say this more because we are really now moving into this energy. Like it is going to start to seem like the universe is speaking to you. Like people are going to start probably having some weird like things going on. More people are going to start talking about it. Like, and it could present again in these like very bizarre scenarios that really, really have people questioning their understanding of the entire nature of this reality. But I mean, how could you have a paradigm shift if that wasn't going on? So that really could be one of the ways that this energy is beginning to manifest itself now that we are moving forward into the stronger Aquarian energy. Divine alignment, prophecy is a huge theme here as well. And that's another way that it could be. It may not be, you know, that you feel like the universe is speaking to you, but you may find yourself knowing everything that's about to happen. Like there could be like prophetic dreams, flashes of insight, sudden downloads, like noticing and becoming very aware of certain information that presents at specific times in ways that like feels like deja vu, you know, like the deja vu experience could become much more prominent right now. So, you know, it really could go that way also. And that may have people similarly questioning their relationship to a higher power and to the universe. But all of these things like divine alignment, prophecy, and destiny, I feel like they're all colliding in the energy of these transits that we have underway on Monday specifically. And again, like it does feel like some type to me of blessed occasion. Like this seems like something that has been a long time coming and an energetic like activation or like a key being turned, you know, a code being activated, something happening here that has just been in the works for a long time, and it almost feels like a cosmic like sigh of relief on one hand that we are moving, and we have now moved through this threshold. Now, not to say, of course, you know, that everything is going to be perfect and everything is going to be great. I do think that actually like things are probably likely to get, you know, depending on your perspective, like kind of chaotic and again like unstable and unpredictable. And for a lot of people, especially people with, you know, very strong earth energy, or that just don't spend much time considering the conscious evolution of humanity, like this really may not be the most comforting experience. And it's again like, and that may be why as well, like we're going to have to reorient our stance in reality. There's a new, like, whatever we used to like generally as a collective consider to be normal in the status quo, like there's a new one of those that is that we're going to be adapting to, I think it would be the good way to put it, now and moving forward into the future. So after 7 years in Taurus, Uranus enters Gemini for 7 years on 777. And another thing, you know, I'm talking about how I feel like just the fact that this is lining up like this and these particular aspects of energy are speaking to us, it is indicating, you know, great blessings associated with this divine alignment, this spiritual guidance, this trajectory to a greater level of soul fulfillment. And the planet that like literally would be associated with that, Jupiter. Guess where Jupiter is, you guys? Jupiter is at 7 degrees of the sign of Cancer in terms of the Sabian symbol placement. That Sabian symbol is 2 fairies dancing on a moonlit night. So we have the spiritual indication again, and also like dancing, like this like more celebratory vibe. And we've got 2 of them. Uranus is entering Gemini, the sign of the twins, the sign specifically with a glyph that is the Roman numeral 2. And literally so funny, like talking about numerology, as I said that right there, the number on my camera right now was 22 minutes, 22 seconds. I am absolutely not joking. When you guys see it, it won't be that way because I have a few different clips going on that I have to edit together. But this particular clip, right when I said that, had been running for 22 minutes and exactly 22 seconds. So we have numerology checking out yet again. So let's talk about some more symbolism now. The degree, and I love this. I think this is equally demonstrative of the larger, you know, themes at play right now. Uranus moves to, of course, 0 degrees, 000. There's more numerology. 000 is like the brand new beginning, the brand new fresh start, the fool's journey. Again, this vibe and theme of utter radical newness coming through here. But that degree, which translates to 1 degree of the sign of Gemini, is a glass bottom boat, reveals undersea wonders. So clarity in terms of what's been hidden in the depths of the watery realms as we emerge out of the age of Pisces and enter our transition into the age of Aquarius. Water into the air, and now we are in a glass bottom boat revealing undersea wonders. It seems to me that we are awakening to or becoming aware of what has been hidden and what's been going on under the surface within the depths throughout perhaps a very historical period of time, and you know how that has impacted us perhaps, and how it relates to the way that things are either going to go or not go perhaps moving forward. We also, interestingly, have Pluto retrograding back to the Sabian symbol 3 degrees of Aquarius, while we have Uranus changing signs on Monday. That Sabian symbol is a deserter from the Navy, stands suddenly aware of a dawning truth. Freedom is never the result of compromise. So I think it's interesting that this specifically references the Navy, because again, that is like the water, the ocean, the maritime, like seafaring of shipping by sea, control of or by or on or through water type of situation. And this is another instance of where that is being abandoned, the deserter, it's being deserted, like in favor of a dawning awareness, an awakening, a revelation, Uranus, that freedom is never a result of compromise. Like that honestly couldn't be a more Uranian, Aquarian degree right there, because of course Uranus has to do with freedom, it has to do with not being boxed in, it has to do with radical authenticity, honestly, and the ability to choose and align with that over the need to compromise some aspect of ourselves to fit inside some type of mold or box that we're being forced to conform to. Now, more symbolism that we've got to talk about. The sun on Monday is at 16 degrees of the sign of Cancer, 16 from a numerological perspective becomes the number 7 as well. So we've got the sun also throwing up a 7 to give a high five to the rest of our numerology today. That Sabian symbol is a man studying a mandala with the help of a very ancient book. Again, like perhaps uncovering or discovering intricacies through what's being revealed or through what we're learning about maybe ancient history or just the past on some level somehow. And we also have Mars at 12 degrees of Virgo on Monday as this shift takes place. That Sabian symbol is a bride with her veil snatched away, which to me also just is giving the same feeling, giving the same vibe, playing right into this whole like sudden revelations in a split second, suddenly everything is clear type of situation that this particular energetic configuration is also likely to bring to us. Now, if we just kind of narrow in terms of the day and the week itself, with Uranus making a move, okay, there's probably going to be something different about this week. Like it's probably either you've just got different stuff on your schedule this week, just the way it worked out, or you are feeling the need to change things up somehow this week. But I would imagine that whatever is normally going on a Monday, or whatever is normally going on throughout the course of your week, this week is just altered or has altered itself somehow, or it could just feel different, or it could be different. A lot of people are going to be waking up in this energy, and it'll be the first day in 7 years that Uranus is not aspecting Taurus in their chart. And depending on how your chart is set up, this could literally feel just like some type of breath of fresh air, and you could just feel like you've got like, what's that? A spring back in your step, a pep back in your step, or again, just like feeling like for some reason things are just a little bit lighter and you're more, I don't know, like engaged in the potential of what could be, or options, or feeling a little bit more optimistic, or just feeling like something's different somehow. People could definitely, as I've said more in the beginning of the report, be making transitions and starting new things this week. This is and if people are starting new things this week, it could be things that they've always wanted to do but have never done, but this is likely to be like things that we've just never done before for some reason. Like this is not like starting a new job in the same industry, or maybe it is starting a new job in the same industry, but like a totally different role. Like these are not just, everyday, like small changes or alterations. These are likely to be some type of like big change that has a very new feeling to it somehow. This could also be some process of just a big shift that is underway, or a big change that is in the process of becoming somehow. Like a lot of people could be going through just major transitions in life that are really hitting hard this week somehow. And things could feel electrified, fast-paced, exciting, buzzing, brand new. You could, the sense of electricity in the air. This could also be, of course, kind of giving a bit of, like anxious tension. The high speed, fast nature, high pitch vibe that can be associated with Uranus, again, it can make us feel a little bit nervous. Like you could also just feel like something is coming, something is changing, a little bit anxious or a little bit nervous about something, but you're not exactly sure what. And also like this unpredictability, like maybe feeling like things aren't totally stable, feeling like you can't predict an outcome, feeling like everything's always gone a certain way, but now all of a sudden everything's going the totally opposite way and you don't know why. Like that could be how this energy goes. So it could be hard to sleep, hard to relax, hard to calm down, hard to stay grounded. And again, doing things, using our energy to actively ground ourselves, actively stay organized, actively create some type of structure in our lives, it's probably going to be beneficial. Like, as I said, there's pretty much no earth energy right now. And there's pretty much no structure either with Neptune conjunct Saturn. And Saturn's also about to station retrograde. Like, it is a free for all out there. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I'm also saying, like, I feel like it feels kind of exciting, you know, because it's just this change and we've had things a certain way for so long. And now we've got this like breath of fresh air energy coming in. But it is also indicating, you know, the chaos, okay? Like people being impulsive, people being reckless, like people being very ungrounded, very disorienting, and like also this unbelievable, unstructured, free-for-all type of energy could be going on. So, you know, very different than what we've been in, but also quite unsettling perhaps, especially if you're like a certain type of person. Or again, you've got a lot of earth energy, or, you know, you really need things to be a certain way to feel comfortable. It's probably going to be a big learning curve throughout this period of time. The changes happening also and the information coming our way right now could be very hard or difficult to process for some reason, having us, again, like questioning what is real. Maybe I'm dreaming. Is this even possible? It seems like it's happening, but how on earth could that possibly have happened? Like, and then also this higher spiritual quality, this synchronicity, the coincidences that are literally just blowing our mind and making us question everything, including if perhaps it's just us that's really crazy. There's a need to consciously ground ourselves in some semblance of reality, tend to our practical physical needs here. It's going to be beneficial. This is hyped up, amped up, exhilarated, like pew, 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 pinball, fast moving energy, okay? People are going to forget. You can forget to eat. You can forget to sleep. You can forget to just like do the day-to-day tasks and routines that we generally do to care for ourselves here. The lifestyles, like, you know, and just the schedule and stuff are likely to be out of whack for some reason, because again, like, things are just not going how they normally go. So therefore, that in and of itself can be like overstimulating and ungrounding. That's another way that this energy could be described as very overstimulating, but also in a way that we like can't pull ourselves away from. So, you know, trying to stay on some type of routine, or being sure that we are at least like taking our supplements or something like that, like trying to maintain a good diet, making sure that you are not forgetting to exercise and take care of your physical body. This is important right now, but also, you guys, it could be those exact things could be what is annoying us, bothering us, like what we really don't want to be told that we have to do, that is just like our source of anger or irritation, with Mars in the sign of Virgo right now as well. But, you know, with all the air, fire, water energy, and only, as I was talking about at the beginning of the report, Mars and the South Node holding us down in Earth signs and in the sign of Virgo, on one hand, that energy could be our source of irritation and conflict, as I just mentioned, but it is also the best way to stay grounded and be successful. And we know that because Mars in Virgo is also in a sextile and has been sextiling Jupiter and the Sun in the sign of Cancer ever since our new moon in Cancer. If you guys watch my new moon in Cancer video, which we are currently still moving through the new moon in Cancer cycle right now, we had, and I labeled my video as such, like we had a pretty clear like roadmap to success, like rule book, rule guide for how to make the most out of this Cancer cycle. And that had a lot to do with applying Mars and Virgo energy in the context of our life, whatever we got going on, whatever we were working on. Mars was in a sextile to Jupiter and on the new moon. For that new moon, using our energy in the Virgo fashion, it was facilitating our growth, success, and expansion, which is what this energy is, you know, assisting us to step into right now some active change that is going to facilitate, you know, 777, this divine alignment, this very like personalized success, growth, and expansion in alignment with some potential that perhaps we've awakened to, or some value or some new direction that we've been aligned to at this point in time. Like that is, despite the, you know, the free for all, everything, everywhere, chaotic nature of energy right now, one step at a time, being practical, being logical, really thinking things through before we take action. This is where we're going to paying attention to detail, okay? Not be getting so whipped up in the moment and in the just like electrified sensations of everything right now that we overlook the fine print and make silly mistakes. Like we need to be strategic about things. And as long as we follow that Mars and Virgo playbook, again, even if it is a frustration and annoying and not what we want to be doing, it seems to be that that is something that is going to facilitate our success somehow, at least at this point in time. So maximize efficiency in schedules and routines, you guys, and be flexible, but pay attention also to detail. Don't be sloppy. Act with practicality, skepticism, thoughtfulness, and grounding. And this should help to offset some of the just, I don't know, live wire nature of reality and experience right now. Also on Monday, you guys, it is, of course, you know, it would come like it would work out like this. The moon is translating the sign of Sagittarius, which of course opposes Gemini, where Uranus just moved. So I always tell you guys, the moon is a trigger and an activator for energy. And whenever it seems as though whenever we have these big aspects and transits happening lately, that if we throw it back to the beginning of the report, I was suggesting are playing these crucial roles in our greater energetic transition into the age of Aquarius. I often find that the moon is like all up in that the moon is super involved in the moon and Sag. While we've got this Gemini transit going on, of course, again, that is happening, and the moon's presence in Sagittarius is going to be amplifying, you know, reflecting off of, hitting like on an emotional level as well, these changes that are going on right now, these changes that are taking place on Monday, all of the 7 energy happening as well. People, again, like could be getting carried away with things. Sag moon is also this energy that really can like take things over the top. This is huge, like very big feelings, expanded emotion, this big broad perspective, you know, limitless potential and possibilities, this very like optimistic, celebratory, uplifted type of like internal feeling situation can be going on here. People like literally could be feeling like high on the difference between this energy and what it is that we've been moving through, like this, the high on the sensation of change that this energy brings in, and just like the newness of the experience. And again, like for people that don't have energy that like does real well in these type of circumstances and aren't aware of these like greater cosmic processes that are underway right now, it could be very unsettling, very destabilizing. And I do think a lot of people could feel like they're going crazy actually. And a lot of people may actually be going crazy. This is also like mad scientist energy, okay? So there could be like lots of real like weird experimentation and stuff that starts to go on now and over this period of time. Utter madness. Again, like I've mentioned, the chaos that could be represented through this. People could kind of feel like everything is falling apart, and they're not wrong. Like that's another thing to be expected when we've just got this lightning striking the tower, like hitting essentially like the whole collective like this. Things are going to be different going forward. So, you know, we have to have patience with people that are not having the best reaction to this energy, right? Because it is presenting its own sets of challenges. The status quo has shifted. Things are not going to be working the way that they used to. You know, what you put in and what you get out are not going to be like matching the same way that they always have, and people are literally going to start thinking differently about things. This is also our introduction into sci-fi world, as I think I said that maybe a couple times earlier. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I just thought about it and never said it, but I probably did say it more towards the beginning of the report. But this is, and now let's talk about some of the themes, some of the revolutionary energy that we are going to see come with this. And I say revolutionary energy because we start this transit with the ruler of the sign of Aquarius ruling revolutions in a trine to Pluto in Aquarius, ruling powerful, like the absolute most powerful transformations and revolutions. So we've got revolutions coming in terms of communications and information technology that is emerging. We have revolutions coming in terms of transportation. And I specifically think that this is going to be referring to space age type of stuff, like space exploration, air travel, specifically like flying cars and stuff like that. If you've been waiting on a flying car, if you've been wanting to get you a flying car, give it, I'd say give it 3-4 years maybe, and you might find that you can literally just go online and order one. We'll see. This is also going to be bringing a revolution in terms of energy. And these things, I know I brought them up earlier, but I'm going to kind of go into more detail into them right now. And then we're going to actually talk about in just a minute here what happened last time we had this energy come around. So we've got, just to reiterate, the revolution coming in information, communication technology, transportation, energy, also in transactional digital currencies as well. I do think that this is going to spill over into the financial system and the way that we are transacting somehow. And this is also going to have to do with healing, and especially, I think, regenerative medicine. And lastly, it is definitely going to bring, of course, a revolution in cosmic understanding and human intelligence and our recognition of the true power of our mind. So all of those things, you know, the technology side of things, the travel side of things, the medicine and healing side of things, the money side of things, and then really just all probably springing from the cosmic consciousness, human understanding side of things that is just opening up right now as well. So those things being said, I do now want to go back for a minute and look at the last time Uranus entered the sign of Gemini, okay? And I'm going to put the charts up here right now for you guys so you can see. I will put the well, it should say it on the chart, but I think I will put the new chart on top and the old chart on the bottom. So the 2025 chart on top and the 1941 chart on the bottom. So it was 1941, the last time that we had this energy come around, 1941 to 1948. And let's talk about some of the things that happened during this period of time, especially towards the beginning of this period of time, okay? First of all, the first nuclear reactor and the origin of nuclear power happened as we moved into the energy of Uranus and Gemini in 1941. Also, the first computing technology, which would then lead to the first general purpose electronic digital computer that was created in 1943, also happened as this energy entered and we entered into and began to move through 1941. This also brought about radar development, which is very interesting to me. Jet aircraft, jet power, jet propulsion technology, aircraft carriers became dominant in the naval force, actually. Interestingly, that like Navy theme situation coming up again, replacing battleships though. Like it went from battleships being, I think, like the primary vehicle of war to aircraft carriers. And this was also when the boats for amphibious landings for those aircraft carriers also were invented. This was also when the first trials of chemotherapy began, and there was this emphasis on uranium enrichment, which was going on, which is interesting because Uranus and uranium obviously have some root words in common and an association with one another. I'm pretty sure actually Uranus was discovered right around the same time that uranium was discovered. But anyways, this was the period of time when British and American nuclear efforts merged in the Manhattan Project. So lots of emphasis on chemicals, nuclear energy, specifically uranium enrichment, okay, new forms of energy and power emerging, aircraft advancement and aerospace engineering and radar technology, okay? The emphasis went to the air in terms of the transportation and just like what we were building. And of course, then all these technological advancements that led to the age of computing and the information age that we are currently immersed in right now. Of course, there was also the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor that happened in 1941 that functioned to bring the United States into World War II. But I will tell you guys, that chart, that 1941 chart, that is a whole, even though we have Uranus at the same degree, like that is a whole nother story. That is a whole different situation than what our current 2025 chart with Uranus entering Gemini is telling us now. Like that chart, and I will show you guys a couple reasons why in a minute, much more of a wartime chart than what we have now. And I can see, and if I was doing astrology at that point in time, I would have been putting the little siren emojis on my videos, and I would have been like, red flag, red flag, red flag. Like these look like situations that could be popping off because that's what that chart looks like. But that is not what our current Uranus Gemini chart looks like. And again, in a minute, I'm going to tell you the reasons why. So even though, you know, that was one of the most historically significant things that did happen in 1941, and Uranus surprise attack obviously was very involved in that story, this is an entirely different energetic setup right now, and I do not think we are going to see actually really much of wartime themes seemingly, you know, at all going on this time around. Okay, now why am I saying that? First of all, if you look at these charts, as you can see, Saturn was in a conjunction to Uranus, and they were both actually trine Neptune and the North Node in Virgo in 1941 chart. The black moon was also in the sign of Taurus with Saturn, with Uranus, as Uranus exited Taurus and entered Gemini. Mars was in the sign of Aries, and Pluto was conjunct Chiron in the sign of Leo. First of all, just on face value, if you'll take a look at the chart, you will be able to notice that while there is a conjunction going on with Uranus as he enters the sign of Gemini, just like there was a conjunction last time, the planet that is conjunct Uranus as he enters Gemini this time is Venus. The planet that was conjunct Saturn as he entered Gemini last time was Saturn. Those are two, like, entirely different energetic indications and stories, and I do not again think these two periods of time are going to be functioning the same way. And in fact, they may be quite oppositional from one another. Now, Saturn, of course, is about control, discipline, authority, and pressure, and Venus is about peace, okay? So interestingly enough, whereas that chart was featuring these, you know, wartime themes, of course, and these like surprise attack, military action themes, there could be, interestingly enough, like some type, and I was talking about this in my last video as well, like some type of unexpected peace or surprise outcome or outbreak of peace or balance or harmony that like spontaneously happens this time around, almost as like a polar oppositional reflection of how that energy played out last time around. And it's also funny because we're talking about Uranus and Gemini transit. That's the sign of the twins. It's the, you know, what is the same, but also what is the polar opposition. And if, you know, there's a few reasons why I say that. Not only are we, of course, talking about Gemini transit where similarities and differences are very highlighted, but we have planets, you guys, in our new 2025 chart that are literally in essentially the reversed position from where they were when we had the 1941 chart. So let's start with the nodes, okay? In 1941, we had the North Node in the sign of Virgo, and we had the South Node in the sign of Pisces. For the 2025 chart, we of course have the North Node in the sign of Pisces, the South Node in the sign of Virgo, and they're even at the same degree ranges, interestingly enough. Another thing that we have going on in terms of our 2025 chart that is quite oppositional to the 1941 chart is the position of Pluto. We have talked a lot in this report about the significance of Pluto's placement in the beginning of Aquarius as this Uranus transit comes in, and like what that means for sort of like the overall nature of this period of time that we're moving through and the transit that is representing it. In the 1941 chart, Pluto was in the sign of Leo at almost literally the exact same degree polarity where he is now. I think, let me see. I actually have the charts. Pluto was at 4 degrees of the sign of Leo, and right now Pluto is at 2 degrees of the sign of Aquarius. So Pluto, again, playing a very influential role in the way that this Gemini-Uranus transit plays out was in essentially like the polarly opposed position the last time that we had this come through. So and those two things are powerful. Like Pluto rules power in all of its forms. Pluto in Leo is going to be a much more centralized expression of power. Pluto was also conjunct Chiron in that chart, which would indicate powerful forces that cause, you know, painful, wounding, traumatic situations to go on. And then the nodes in literally the same degree range, the same signs, opposite positions as well. I do think, and then the fact that we're literally just talking about a Gemini transit, and we've got the 777 numerology coming through here as well. That was not present. We did not have 777, 777, sevens everywhere numerology going on for the 1941 chart. So I do think that it does seem like circumstances are potentially quite reversed, at least in terms of maybe the surprising nature or shock factor of events and scenarios and situations that are going to play out in alignment with this type of thing. Again, it's almost like, whereas that energy was giving us war and like division and control and dominance and centralization of power, this seems to be giving us quite the opposite, like decentralization of power, personal self-empowerment, maybe a greater understanding of like our own personal power somehow, instead of seeing the forces of power exerted from some type of this is a sign of Leo. This is the king. This is the empire. This is the legacies of power and control. Like, that is where the power was held at that point in time. That was what was driving all that was like manifesting and playing out in association with Uranus's entrance into the sign of Gemini, and with Saturn there as well. That was the government. That was like the power structure. Like, that was the hierarchical, condensed, top down, like militaristic power model. Like, of course, and with Chiron there conjunct Pluto in the sign of Leo, it is not, and various other things. Mars also was in the sign of Aries. That is very, very potent, aggressive, not running from a battle, like ready to go, burn it all down, blazing fury type of energy. The black moon was also with Uranus and Saturn before Uranus left Taurus and entered Gemini. So that chart was an entirely different story. This chart is going to impact life a lot differently. It's also interesting because Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus have this connection going on in both charts as well. Into the 2025 chart, Saturn and Neptune is retrograding, are conjunct in Aries in a sextile to Uranus in the sign of Gemini. Again, that is like breaking down the authority. That's that same planet. Like, Saturn was with Uranus last time. Like, it was the authority that was like making the changes. But this time Saturn's with Neptune. Retrograde. That's like destroying the illusion of power and control that authority has been holding in order to like maintain the structures and the frameworks of the paradigm of reality and their like legacies of power and control that have been historically exerted. In 1941, Uranus was with Saturn, and they were trining Neptune and the North Node in the sign of Virgo. Neptune and the North Node, that's like some fated breakdown. Another indication being in an earth sign that there could be something destructive that was underway with that energy. So it'll be interesting to see how these conflicting narratives and ideas and stories, sources of information and stuff like that, resolve themselves now and as we're moving forward. But, overall, and also another thing I want to say is that there could be things that happened, 1941 to 1948, for some reason, just because we've got this transit coming back around, we could see things that happened then back in the news again somehow, having some type of extra relevance somehow, coming back around somehow, just because we are, again, imprinting that same path through the Uranian energy. But, overall, as I said at the beginning, and I said a couple other times, I do expect 3 general themes that have sort of various tributaries to them. Energy, new energy, the sky, specifically in terms of travel and exploration, and also technological advancements, invention, innovation. With the Venus influence as well, this could also have a lot to do with like social connectivity that is very much, part of the way that these new technologies are coming online. Of course, we're going to be talking about like AI and like all crypto, like that type of stuff is primed to rise in energy like this as well. And, we know that those technologies have already been emerging, but this is where we are likely to see them, really go to another level as well. Another really interesting thing I do want to say that happened during the most previous transit of Uranus through the sign of Gemini was the Bretton Woods Conference that happened in 1944. This was when the IMF was established, the World Bank, it pegged the dollar to gold, set the gold standard and the world system of currency. I do think that something along these lines could again take place over this next few years. Especially remember with Venus being present as Uranus makes the transition. The conjunction is between Uranus and Venus. We could see changes to currency. And again, this is, to me, speaking to a rise in digital currencies, or at least like the digital nature of transactions, moving us forward into the future. So times of great change ahead, you guys. Expect, I do think, probably like shocking news, announcements, revelations, innovations, maybe deals, partnerships, agreements to be going on that have some type of powerful or transformative impact on, you know, kind of a larger scale out there. Polarization and opposition, as I have mentioned as well, these things could be quite extreme at the moment. But again, you guys, this is a paradigm shift by way of a collective awakening and transformation in thought, communication, and consciousness. So we're all going to get on the same page somehow eventually. And we've got 777 going on to reassure us of that. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. That's what I have to say about all the astrology we've got going on out there. It really is quite interesting, the differentiation between the two charts, the oppositional energy that we have present. And like, even that being said though, these same themes I do think are likely to go on. This new power, new forms of power, this eyes on the skies, focus on the skies, what's going on in the air, what's going on in the airwaves, travel through the air, travel through the sky. Regenerative medicine could be going on as well. And of course, this communication, digital, electronic, who knows what technology boom, futuristic, sci-fi world, space age technology boom that is likely to be coming up next as well. So that's what I think, you guys. That's what I have to say. That is how I am personally assessing our current stance in our lovely energetic environment and where and how things are likely to go for us moving forward. We're going to talk about some tarot cards for a minute. This is an interesting reading. One reason is, if you guys watched not my last video, but the video before that, I did a tarot reading and I actually got all of these same cards, but they were in the reversed position. And then the card that I got kind of coming out to clarify all of them was the Six of Pentacles in reverse. So we've got the Six of Pentacles in reverse, we've got the Four of Pentacles in reverse, we've got the Two of Wands, the Nine of Pentacles, and the High Priestess. To me, you guys, this is a pretty straightforward message that's talking about no longer being willing to settle. And not only are we being oriented in regards to no longer being willing to settle or sell ourselves short or accept like crumbs when we could have like feasts. I think that we are going to be willing to wait on things that feel genuinely and authentically aligned, as opposed to chasing ideals or chasing images or just holding on to what it is that has felt safe and comfortable in the past. I say that because I also have the Seven of Pentacles and also the Two of Cups that are on the back of the deck that made their presence known to me in this reading as well. It's like with the Seven of Pentacles and the Two of Cups, it's like being, or at least the way I'm interpreting this, you may have a different interpretation. These cards may speak to you differently, but for me, you know, in this moment, the way I'm seeing it is, you know, being willing to wait for that which is a true match for us. Like that is that which is actually authentically fulfilling and in alignment with us, like on a more soul level than, again, like the Four of Pentacles in reverse, than just maybe holding on to the things that made us feel safe and secure and comfortable in the past. And with the Four of Pentacles in reverse, it's like through that process of letting go we actually put ourselves into a greater state of power, where we become the generators for some reason of our own success based on our ability to connect to our higher selves and essentially like have the foresight and the ability to perceive potential and opportunity and step into that, because you know, we're no longer holding ourselves back out of fear of loss. And then with this Six of Pentacles in reverse, to me also, this is like we're again, like not at a place of being willing to accept less than we deserve. It's like, it's kind of like the concept that's like, if I was willing to let that go, which I really, really loved and which I held on to for a long time and I thought I could never let go of and I thought I could never live without, like if I was able to let that go, then why would I ever settle for something that is not the best that it could be for me moving forward? Like, it is reminding me also of that, what I was talking about earlier with the Uranus and Taurus transit, like whatever had to happen to like get us out of that grasp or shake us loose from that or get us to break that addiction or that the hold of that thing, whatever it was, whatever was stuck, whatever was stagnant. Now that we've done that, we're just not willing to take anything less than what we know we truly deserve with the Two of Cups here, even if it means that we've got to wait for it and we've got to tend our garden, like Mars and Virgo, right? Like we're going to put in the patience, like we're going to diligently till the land until the right thing arrives. Because if it is not exactly what it needs to be for us with the Six of Pentacles in reverse, like it's just not for us. So I don't know. I think that may be part of the vibe shift that is going on right now. Like a lot of people have probably had to break themselves away from or have experienced very difficult losses or things that they've had to let go or release over this period of time. And probably like one of the side effects of that is an enhanced like sense of value in terms of what we will, like self-value, self-love and stuff too, in terms of what we will and won't accept anymore. And as a result of that, I mean, now I'm just kind of talking in circles, but being willing to wait for what it is that we really want. So that's how I feel like that specific tarot message is speaking to me. Maybe it's telling you something different. Let's get a synchronicity card now. I'm gonna get one more piece of guidance or advice. Ask Great Spirit, God, Universe, what do we need to know? What should we keep in mind? We got a couple of cards coming out, and this is the part in the report where we go full circle because literally, you guys, well, we got two cards that came out today, but one of them, guess what it says? Great blessings. That is literally like 777. I have it written down and underlined verbatim, great blessings, in my notes for the day. This is the card that comes out, great blessings. And the other card that we have come out, it says go within for peace. I also feel like peace is part of a theme, like I said earlier, that could be unexpectedly manifesting right now as well. So let's read our cards, shall we? The first card, it says go within for peace. Pursue peace with all people and holiness, without which no one will see the Lord. Hebrews 12:14. When discord or disharmony is raging around you, go within yourself and be thankful for the grace of God within you. Say thank you for restoring peace to my life. Smile, bless all, and continue to your goal. Our other card, Great Blessings, says, for whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Romans 10:13. Nothing is more powerful than God. Contact God quietly with faith and confidence and know God is opening a path and solving your problem. With God, nothing is impossible and great blessings will be yours. So that's what we have today, you guys. I do think that things are going to begin opening up. Things are definitely changing. Go within for peace. That Mars and Virgo energy, you know, consciously stay grounded and orient yourself to the potential that great blessings may truly be trying to make their way to you, as that seems to be the orientation and nature of the way that this energy is hitting the reality now and moving forward. Again, you know, nothing's ever perfect, but I do think that things could be looking up or just getting interesting over this this next time and moving forward now. So that's what I have to say today, guys. It was a long one, lots of information. If you're still here with me, thank you so much for being here. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would also enjoy this type of astrology content. Leave me comments. Let me know what's going on with you guys out there. If you are having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, let me know. Drop me a comment. Tell me how this energy is affecting you in my comment section below. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I take pictures of these boards and I post them in a Facebook group that I have that is linked in my description box below. So that's where you can find that. And come back with me, you guys. Come back with me on Wednesday. We will have moved through our lovely 777 activation portal. We will be on the other side of that, and we will have more interesting astrology to talk about. So I'll be back to do that, you guys. You don't want to miss it. I will see you next time. Have a beautiful 777. And until then, guys, see you later.